What's happening, Achievers? Ajit Sidhu here from Invincible Achievers. Let's talk about leadership skills. Who needs leadership skills? You might be thinking, I don't need leadership skills, I'm okay. Or you might be thinking, I would like to have leadership skills. Or you might be a leader already and would like to improve. Or just remind yourself of the steps that are required. Anybody who owns a business, manages people, speaks to people, has children, are in a relationship with someone, anyone that has a heartbeat, they all need leadership skills. Is that you? I think it is you. You've got a heartbeat, right? So you're leading yourself every single morning when you wake up and your feet hit the ground. You are leading yourself. And the way you're leading yourself will result in what you get out of your day. So what we need to do is think about what leaders do and implement it in our life, in our parenting style, in our business. So there's a couple of things that every single leader does. One is they make decisions with certainty. Now, their decisions might not be the correct decision, but they make a decision. That's a big difference. Nobody likes to make a decision. Sometimes they stand there thinking, should I do this or should I do that? And they stay on that path of should I do this, should I do that? And they get to a point where they're not making any decisions. There's a story that I once heard about an army and the generals there. They kept making this decision. They couldn't make this decision of should we go down that path or should we go do this? Should we do that? And they kept going back and forth and they just couldn't make a decision because they weren't thinking of the outcome. And then they advised someone who's higher and the person said, so what's the problem? And the guy said, the generals said, well, this is the situation with our army. We don't know if we should go down X path or Y path. And he said, go down X path. And the generals were like, well, you haven't even read all the documentations that over the years that we've compiled to say if X is correct or if Y is correct. And he goes, it doesn't matter, do the X path. And they said, okay, and off they went. But one of the generals stayed back and they asked this advisor saying, how did you make that decision? And he said, well, the fact is you guys have been stuck on which way to go. A decision is made. Let's just do it. If it's not working, we'll figure it out. We're not going to be able to figure it out whilst we're here. Say, should we go down this path or should we go down that path? Should we go down the X path or the Y path? Let's just do X, figure it out, see if it works. If it doesn't, then we'll go on the Y path. So this is something that we could take back. We just have to make a decision. Even if it's not the correct decision, we have to make a decision. As we start making more decisions and we start to get more experience in making decisions and fast decisions, innately inside of us and subconsciously, we'll start making better decisions. And also from that, a story, I'm just going to quickly drop down into a story here of someone, Chelsea Sullenberger. In 2009, he was a captain of flying the plane. And in 2009, he took off from the airport in America. And as he was flying up, and they were getting to almost halfway to peak, well, in the clouds, a flock of geese flew straight into the engine and blew the engine up. Now, flying at that height with 155 passengers, he had to make a decision. He had to make a decision with certainty. Does he turn the plane back and maneuvering the plane all the way around and back to the airport? Or does he land? And where does he land? The only place you could see was the Hudson River. And at that point, he made a decision, with certainty, not knowing if it's going to result in casualties or if everyone's going to be saved, but he made a decision. He made a decision there and he landed the plane on the Hudson River, saving 155 lives. But when they were all saved and the flight aviation people were called in court to analyze everything, and through their inspections and doing their simulations to see if they could have made it, they told Chelsea Sullenberger that you could have made it. You could have turned the plane around and made it. You made the wrong decision. You cost the business so much, our reputation is gone. You should be, in a sense, punished for this. And when he stood up, he said, yes, you guys have tried the simulation many times. I think they had tried it 40 times just to confirm. He said, but do it one more time. But include human error. Include the fact that we stop to make a decision. We compute, we think about both sides, and then add in 4 or 5 seconds of flight time and then do the simulation. So off they went back into the flight aviation. They took off just like Chelsea, just like Sullenberger had. And when the geese hit, they waited 1, 2, 3, a few seconds. And then they said, okay, turn. And as they turned and they started to land, going back to the landing to the airport, the simulation completely missed. All 155 passengers would have been killed. So through his decision-making and his certainty, he saved 155 passengers' lives because he had the experience. He had the experience of flying and knowing, and all through the years of knowing how long it takes and the distance, and he was making decisions on a daily basis. So that's something that we should think about when we make decisions. They should be made with certainty, and if it's not working, obviously he couldn't turn back once he had made the decision, and he had to go with it, either killing 155 people and himself or saving them, which he did. However, with us, most of our lives, we don't have to make the decision of life and death. We can go down a path and just change and change. And that's how most leadership happens. We change, we fluctuate. So that's one thing. The next thing is we need to constantly add value. If we're not adding value, people's time is the most valuable thing that they have. If we're not adding value to people's lives, they won't follow us. They won't take our decision. They won't listen to our decision if we're not adding value on their lives. So when we're leading, we have to be thinking of their lives. As a parent, we have to be thinking about the children's lives, not our lives. And in a relationship, we should be thinking of our partner's life, not our selfish needs. Because if we are constantly thinking about our selfish needs, then our partner will leave us. If we are thinking about our selfish needs when it comes to children, children will find someone who will listen to them. And if they do, that person could influence them on the wrong road. So we need to be adding value to people's lives, making sure that we're thinking about their feelings before we think about ours. And that's what adding value is, in a sense, to find out what people want. And when you're in a business, you have to think about the market, what people want, the market, what your staff want, what your product, everything. Not your financial pocket, how much money are we getting in? Obviously you have to take care of the finances, but the finances are there to add value. Business is all just about adding value, innovating, and then marketing it to people. That's something we need to think about. And then finally we need to think about, so number one, we have to make decisions with certainty. Number two, we have to add value to people's lives. But number three, we have to solve problems. If we're not solving problems, then we're not leading anything. There's problems, I don't like the words problems, it's challenges. If we're not solving the challenges, that just basically means we have not asked the right question. We have to ask the right question. I think it's like the film I, Robot. I think it's I, Robot with Will Smith, where they make the robot, and the scientist who made the robots, he actually dies, and everyone's trying to figure out why he died, and the robots are all being changed around. And the thing that he kept saying is, you're not asking the right question. You're not asking the right question. And when Will Smith in the movie finally asks the right question, the scientist says, that's the right question. And then he gets the answers to solve the problem. We need to do that. We need to ask the right questions to solve the problem. Or challenge. If we have not solved the challenge, then we haven't asked the right question. And we need to ask this question. We're in a peak state. And that's the final key point to everything, the leaderships, to making decisions with certainty and adding value to people's lives. And on top of that, solving challenges, problems and challenges. The way that is all encompassed together is we need to be in a peak state when we take this path of leadership. If we do not do that, if we're in a poor state, meaning we're in a poor situation, we're not feeling that great and we have to do this, or I feel like this and I do not feel like leading, I feel like I don't feel like being in this relationship today, I feel like watching TV, I don't feel like being a parent today, kids go away, we're going to make bad decisions. If we go to work in our business or our job, and we're in a rubbish state, and I really like I don't feel like being here. Do you think everyone else is not going to feel that? Everyone else is going to feel it. So we need to energize before we enter the arena of life. We need to make sure that we know how to energize. My energy comes from the gym. This is the reason why I'm here. Energy, you need to know how you can get yourself into peak state, how you can get yourself into great state before making a decision. So if you are in a poor state and you have to make a decision, hold it off slightly. Say, I'll get back to you on that in 5 minutes, and then get back to them when you're in a great state. Because when you're in a great state, you make great decisions with certainty, thinking about adding value, and you will solve the challenge much quicker. If you're in a poor state, you will make a rubbish decision without any certainty. And on top of that, you're going to just be thinking about yourself because you're feeling really poor. And then on top of that, you're not going to solve anything because it's just going to add more problems. So, guys, keep adding value to people's lives. Keep spreading the love. Think about how you lead people. If you're not leading anyone at this moment in time and you're by yourself, how do you lead yourself? Because all of this is for us as well. We must make decisions with certainty. We must make the decision. And then on top of that, always think, how can we add value, add extra value to people's lives, solving people's problems. We need to solve the problems. And just keep moving forward in peak state. Just remember, guys, we're just one idea away from changing the future. Take care. Bye.